U.S. officials tell CNN there is a growing frustration with Turkey's refusal to act. Turkish tanks and soldiers stand motionless amid gunfire and smoke rising across the border. The parliament greenlit military action inside Syria, and today the foreign minister once again said airstrikes alone will not stop ISIS. But President Recep Erdogan has cited inaction against President Assad inside Syria as an excuse for his own.
With every passing day, a few things are becoming evident in our war with the terrorists calling themselves ISIS. The billions of dollars being spent on airstrikes are apparently not doing everything they were planned to accomplish. And we could be doing little more than making the enemy even bolder and perhaps even more effective in their guerrilla desert tactics. And then there is the nation of Turkey. Welcome to MidPoint. The former Assistant Secretary of Defense for International Security Policy, now founder and president of the Center for Security Policy, Frank Gaffney, joins us. Frank, thanks so much for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Frank, is it fair to say that the Syrians would like America to, or I should back myself up, fair to say the Turks would like America to do their dirty work in Syria, and that's what's holding everything up?
I think it's a bigger problem. What Turkey is up to is very frankly part and parcel of the same enterprise that the Islamic State is about. They may have their differences about exactly who should be the caliph, but Prime Minister, now President Erdogan, has over the past 10 or 11 years made unmistakably clear he is as firmly committed to the triumph of this doctrine or ideology or program, call it what you will, that they describe as Sharia, as is, well, for that matter, not just the Islamic State or ISIS or ISIL, but Al-Qaeda, the Taliban, Boko Haram, Al-Shabaab, Ansar al-Sharia, and so on. So I don't think this is really so much about disagreements as to whether Bashar Assad needs to be overthrown and we need to put boots on the ground to accomplish that, as much as it is that the Turks, who have been enabling ISIS and other jihadists to come into Syria, are actually on their side much more than on ours.
So then are we kidding ourselves and the rest of the world even kidding ourselves if we look at Turkey then as being the kind of person that we want to ally ourselves with? I mentioned this earlier in the show. Sometimes we want to do business with the people that we don't like, and we're almost being forced to do business with them, certainly because, and we'll get to the airstrikes here in a moment. But are we just kidding ourselves that at the end of the day, the Turks go home, close the doors, and go, phew, we got past that one right now. Let's go talk to our buddies over in ISIS, make sure that everything's good, we join everybody up, and keep our own little niche going?
Well, Ed, I think that's more right than wrong. The trouble is that it doesn't begin to describe the magnitude of the problem. We also have two other nations that we're told are on our side and are committed, as are we're told, to defeating this Islamic State, namely Qatar and Saudi Arabia. And both of those nations, like Turkey, actually line up very much on the same side in terms of Sharia, in terms of the necessity of imposing it worldwide, in terms of, among other things, the idea that there should be a caliphate to rule the world according to Sharia. These are not reliable allies, and it simply, I believe, is it's not just delusional, really, it's malfeasance on the part of the administration to suggest otherwise.
Frank, about a minute left and then we'll take a break. But let me ask then this, because the American people hearing what you just said would want to know, what are we doing there? What, are we insane? Be honest about it.
I think that's a reasonable response to what I've just said, and unfortunately, it's being obscured by an awful lot of people who should know better. And
Such as who? Who are those people?
The people all down the food chain, politically, should know better that what I've said is unfortunately all too true.
When we talk about who are those people, though, are we talking about the administration? Are we talking about people in the administration, the military? Name them if you can.
Well, start with the president, start with the Secretary of State, start with the Secretary of Defense. You certainly have seen the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and to varying degrees other military officers lining up behind this campaign against the Islamic State. Sadly, in addition to a lot of Democrats on the House and Senate side, you've also seen Republicans seemingly embracing this notion that we've got to go into Syria, if not with boots on the ground, at least with airstrikes. We've got to arm the so-called moderate rebels. And frankly, this stuff just doesn't stand up to scrutiny, and we really need a loyal opposition to say, don't be disengaged, don't be indifferent to this threat from the Islamists, but fight them sensibly and realistically.
All right, now hang tight because we're going to get to that in a minute. The next issue also airstrikes by American and allied forces and what we may actually be doing to the ISIS battle plan to help them. That's coming up next here on MidPoint.